My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr. Michael Green.
Hello and welcome back to another Breakfast Mojo. I'm your host, Comedian Coy, and we're about to eat some breakfast. So come on, follow me. It's already set up. This is what I heard, so I have no idea what's expected. All I know is it's breakfast food, so let's see what it is. I have no idea what it is, folks. No idea. No idea. Here we go. Oh, wow, look at this. Legends. Okay. They got the thing all set up here. It's chicken and grill. So we're gonna see what the chicken is right now on the Breakfast Mojo. What do we have here? Chicken. And what else do we have here? Okay, waffles. Okay. So the chicken kind of threw me off because I'm like, it's breakfast. Hello, this is the Breakfast Mojo. Chicken and waffles. Got my syrup here. Should have been blindfolded when I was doing this breakfast. I should. But let's see what it's like here. Wow, looks good. It cuts easily. Got a little white powder on it. Some butter. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see what it's looking like. At least you could have had the fork and the knife match each other. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay. Let's see what it's like here. Here we go. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Let's see what the chicken is like here. Got, some of y'all are saying, why don't you just pick it up and eat the thing? You know what I'm saying? Okay, here we go. So we got the... Very basic. Nothing fantastic. I wonder if I can do 2 reviews. One for the chicken and one for the waffle. I actually like the waffle. I think the waffle is very good. The waffle is the batter is very, what do you say? A little bit on the sugar side. The chicken, on the other hand, could be a lot better. I'm not really happy with the chicken as much. I don't think the chicken actually makes the waffle any better. I think the waffle actually complements the chicken. You know what I'm saying? So for my review, I will say breakfast brilliant for the waffle and breakfast blah for the chicken. If I were to do it separately. So that's all the review that we have. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, what is your favorite waffle place? Do you have a chicken and waffle spot that you normally go to that you can recommend? If you do, write it in a comment. Let folks know, okay? Don't forget to subscribe. Breakfast Mojo. Take care.
Okay, thank you, sir. The mic for that. So I guess it's time for us to rock and roll. Hey, good evening, and welcome to the greatest show on this side of greatness. And of course it is My Brother's Keeper, where greater men continue to make men great with a spirit of excellence. Of course, we do know that it's Tony the Tiger Terrific Tuesday, and it's great. And of course, sitting alongside me on this evening is Dr. Bryan Champion. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Also, we like to welcome Dallas, Fort Worth area, San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, Durham, and Winston, Salem, North Carolina. Also, South Carolina, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia area are in the house, and all the way on the West Coast, Pomona, California, as well as Ontario, California, the Imani Christian Cathedral under the leadership of Bishop Jelani Kafela. Also, we like to thank Bishop James B. Walker of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church for his constant support. Thank you so much. The call-in number tonight is 301-429-9247, 301-429-WBGR. Also, ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like and share. You can also watch us on Roku, as well as download the WBGR app on Fire Stick, as well as Apple TV. We'd like to just thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful day. Just want to recap from last week. Men make a difference. I'd like to thank Brother Hood and Brother Mosley for coming and being a part of My Brother's Keeper. Thank you so much for being a part of the segment of Men Make a Difference. But Dr. Champion, how did it go?
Man, I had a great time.
Okay.
I was at the Akakeet Academy in Prince George's County at their school, where Brother Mosley is the counselor, and he was the chair of Men Make a Difference.
Okay.
And we had a great time. Had some wonderful speakers to come in, and I apologize because I don't remember all the names of the various speakers. I was just kind of looking through here just to see if I brought the program with me because it was my intention. But if I look here, I'll see that it was Reverend James Black, and also Stan Long was both authors and speakers who had relatable messages to the students. And just because I went to look at the screen, they decided to change it. But we also had the councilman from the 9th Ward of, or how do y'all call it?
Eighth Ward.
The 9th.
No, just only 8. Well, 9th is Oxon Hill. No,
okay, the 9th District. Okay, 9th
PG
District of PG County is Sidney Harrison was the keynote speaker.
Okay.
So we had a great time. We had a chance to sit back. The young men of distinction came in and addressed us and welcomed us to the school. But I tell you what the exciting part is, and it's just really fun when you watch the kids get off the bus and the men are lined up and they're clapping and high-fiving and giving fist bumps to the students as they were coming in. Yes. And all of a sudden, you don't see them just walk. They kind of get a little pep in their step and start running through like they in a, when you playing ball and they come out and say, 6 feet tall from Akakeet Academy. So the kid comes running down there, high-fiving everybody, excited and proud. So I was glad to be there. We had a wonderful day. I also spoke with Brother Eric Hood on yesterday. And you remember he was also a keynote speaker at a middle school in the county. And he said that the day went well. He actually posted some pictures on his Facebook page regarding the day. And I hope to have some pictures from Akakeet on my Facebook page later on in the week.
Absolutely. Was the young men, especially, I know the young ladies also was in the mix, but the young men, how was their spirit? What did their countenance look like?
Oh man, they're just excited. They're excited, and then they also, they recognize that it's just not every day that you have men there. So they said, thank you for coming. Thank you. But like I said, you saw the smiles, you saw the upbeat, the excitement. And I've been, we all been to school. We know how getting off that bus is not a very exciting time. But to see the young men and young ladies have excitement as they came into school, it was
and
great.
That passion, I'll tell you, that passion is something different. And it kind of sets a different tone as they're moving forth and they're able to see the men that's cheering them on.
And what I'd really like to do, I would really like to follow up with some of the schools to say, well, how was the day? After the men interacted with the students, how were the students the rest of the day? How did it change how they participated? How did it change how they reacted, how they shared and interacted with their classmates throughout the rest of the day? I think that would be an interesting thing to find out. But the one thing I do want to say, and like Men Make a Difference Day is great every year. If you did it this year, we thank you for your participation. We hope you will mark off the second Monday in October in 2020 for National Men Make a Difference Day. But men make a difference. And we don't need just a special day to make a difference. And we just challenge men to continue to be engaged in the lives of young people and make a difference every day.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because we do make a difference, every day. But this is just one particular day that's set aside for men that can really collaborate with their schedules and come together in that whole piece of just encouraging the young kids.
And I'm proud of men too, because when you have, for some people it's a holiday, so it's easy to make excuse to do so many other things, to say, well, this is the day I'm going to paint the garage, or this is the day I'm going to sleep in late. This is the day that I'm going to go away for the the long weekend and go golfing or fishing. So it means something special when men sacrifice and show that sacrifice as part of what they give, and that's what we saw. And it's a good time, because it was also a great time for networking with some individuals. I met 2 or 3 people that we exchanged cards, exchanged information, and plan on being in touch regarding our children at the school, but also about other ways we can do things as far as teaching and building our community. And it was just some really positive brothers there.
Absolutely. I'm like, it was, couldn't make it this year. Circumstances beyond my control, but definitely the years that I have attended was powerful.
Yes,
very powerful. And
some of the individuals that I met over the last few weeks, my brother's keeper, you all might be seeing some of them soon, because we talked to them about opportunities for them to come and share some of what they're doing with this show.
Okay, that's some good stuff.
Yeah, man.
That's some good stuff. Thank you for showing out for my brother's keeper, representing, and I'm sure you represented very well. Man,
it's always a blessing. It's just great to be part of the young people's lives, and it's also great to be around positive-minded brothers. And I think that was one of the messages that continued to come through the speakers about how important it is for positive-minded brothers to interact, and how we can not just make a difference, but we can make major change.
And and it's amazing, because you want to get them young, because everyone does not have that influence at an early age. But when we go and even make a difference in that one day by collaborating with all the men coming together in that one space, it's amazing what we can do. And the difference of a spark, what a young male child will be able to see, and as we go and we just that ministry of presence.
That's right.
The ministry of presence, and I think that's so profound. So definitely, I'm on point, Doc. That's
no,
awesome.
and it's really good. I go to the schools often, but sometimes when there are events at the school, they're mostly women. The greater time that you see men at the school is during sporting events.
Okay.
But when you see the men out for something like this, for coming out for science fairs, coming out to read to the kids, those are times when people want to see the men, not just for the sporting events or for homecoming and all of those type of times. They want people to be there. They love to see them at all times.
Yeah, how about that? Definitely awesome. What I wanted to do, it is Cancer Awareness Month, and I think we were slated to deal with breast cancer with men. And when I first heard it years ago, I was like, wow, men get breast cancer. And absolutely they do. So the gentleman I wanted to talk about is actually, he's a hero of mine, Richard Roundtree.
That's right.
He's an American actor and a former model. And actually he was modeling before he got the role as Shaft. And so actually he was filming not Shaft, but another movie, and he was diagnosed with he had a lump, and then he went to go get a biopsy and diagnosed with breast cancer. And he was like, it floored him. But after the treatment and much treatment, he after 5 years actually, he was went back and he was cancer free. And so it took him like over that amount of time to even talk about it, because he was embarrassed about breast cancer, having breast cancer. But just think, because of the fact that he shared his story about breast cancer, many men lives have been changed and saved as a result. Because again, he felt real embarrassed and kept it in to himself. But here are some stats about 2,670 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed. That's over 2,600 new cases of breast cancer, as far as men are concerned, will be diagnosed, and about 500 men will die from breast cancer. And I found that to be very alarming. Breast cancer is about 70 times less common among black men than black women. Like black women, black men with breast cancer tend to have a worse prognosis, meaning outlook. For men, the lifetime risk of getting breast cancer is about 1 in 833. So we definitely want to be able to take care of, we check ourselves as well. As women, they check themselves for lumps in their breasts as well. And definitely men want to do that, as well as being checked with the prostate as well, as we talked about. Some of the signs and symptoms of male breast cancer can include a painless lump or thickening in your breast tissue, changes to the skin covering your breast, such as dimpling, puckering, redness, or scaling, and changes to your nipples, such as redness or scaling, or a nipple that begins to turn inward. And then there's also the discharging of your nipple. But one thing I want to say is that when you find that, please go to the doctor as soon as possible. And, and again, I encourage men to get yearly checkups so that you can get on top of any health condition, you may have. So again, I would encourage the men to, during your yearly checkups, go through all of it. Whether from the getting the colonoscopy, sometimes it's encouraged, even if it's not on your year, based upon if cancer runs in your family as well. So definitely, I pulled up my one of my heroes, Richard Roundtree, Shaft. He's a bad dude. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, he's not in sync with me yet. We get ready to get in sync, ladies and gentlemen.
You wouldn't get me to say that.
He's a bad. Shut your mouth.
Okay, all right. Yeah, all of us don't have the TV edit.
Okay. Yeah, but one of the things why he was a role model to me is that he was definitely an activist, community activist. Even when he played in Shaft, he was tough, and he went through the community to straighten out some things, and he really was a hero to the community, and he put his life on the line, and he stood for the community instead of the establishment. And righting some wrongs, and definitely no one understands him but his woman, John Shaft. So that's a theme. That's my theme song. Okay. Everybody needs a theme song. What's your theme song?
So that's yours. No one understands you but your woman.
No. My song is my theme. Well, don't John Shaft. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of the verses in the song.
Oh, okay.
But, ladies and gentlemen, he's finally waking up.
All right.
But I'm saying John Shaft.
Okay.
So, but anyway, what's your theme song?
I think mine is You Don't Know My Story.
Go ahead. Give me some excerpt of it.
The song is You Don't Know My Story, and how oftentimes individuals will look at our lives and they see the finished product, and so they read the final chapter, or they read the chapter that's present, and they will assume certain things, but never take into consideration how you got there. Okay. And so the story is about how you got there. How I got over, and my soul looks back and wonder how I got over. Those are the types of songs that we sing when we look at the blessings that we have today.
Yes, sir.
And we look back and see. So that, I guess that'd be my theme song.
Okay, so that's what you hear when you get ready to get in your moment. That's the song you hear.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Song I hear. Yeah.
When you're getting ready to speak.
When I'm
getting ready to be and teach in your zone and.
Now, normally when I really get in the moment, the song I want to hear is "Blessed be the ties that bind," because that means it's time to sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not doing it with him today. I'm not doing it with him today. Okay, right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our Black History Fact.
Person of interest.
Person of interest.
And it's interesting, you know, I guess we didn't talk this week about how we were going to do this. And so with Breast Cancer Awareness Month being our one of the things we talked about. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We kind of the last few weeks talked about several of the different specialty or recognition months that are going on, in the 105 of them, and how we last week even had on purple for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and with a little shade of pink in order to also look at Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so as we were doing that, and I thought of John Shaft as our African American person of interest. However, what led me not to talk about him today was, I said, you know, he was a person of interest a few months ago.
Okay.
And so maybe we should do somebody different. So I really thought, and you know, what is in current news was Matthew Knowles, who recently, you know, shared with individuals and disclosed that he currently has breast cancer.
Okay.
And Matthew Knowles is one that we are probably familiar with as Beyonce's father.
Okay.
You know, sometime, you know, when you get to a certain point in your life, your children are known by you. But then you get to a certain point in your life where you are known by your children. And so his fame right now is, if you say Matthew Knowles, some people might know him, but when you say Beyonce's dad, then everybody...
okay.
I know who you're talking about. But a man who, in his own acclaim, who is a African-American... record executive. He's a talent manager and a businessman, and one that you'll see often on the speaking circuit doing different forums and discussions about entrepreneurship and also about music. So he was raised in Gaston, Alabama, born in 1952, and he was a graduate of Fisk University and HBCU in Nashville, Tennessee. After college, he started a sales career, started selling medical equipment, and then moved on to Xerox and became a salesperson in Xerox. And then he decided that he was going to step away from the corporate companies and spend more time focusing on his own brand. His own piece that he had was Music World Entertainment and Music World Gospel, which was the company that he formed. And during that time, he had on his label Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Bryan Courtney Wilson, and also Juanita Bynum, amongst others. And so then, but I think what took him to full notoriety was when he had Destiny's Child. And we all remember Destiny's Child, which was, you know, the centerpiece, I guess, for most folk, was his daughter Beyonce with Kelly,
and Michelle.
Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams, and how they made Destiny's Child. Another really interesting thing about that was that when Destiny's Child, the three individuals began to have their own solo careers, he continued to manage each of their solo careers separately. So he was doing a lot. And actually, I believe he even felt that separately they could do more than they were doing together as Destiny's Child, which brings them back together again. He also manages his other daughter, Solange, who I've seen in a few movies. I'm not sure, you may know if she sings as well, but I have seen her acting. Okay, so she sings as well. But
I saw her in the elevator video.
Don't touch it.
Okay, so, but, you know, I recognize him today for all of these things that he has done, but also I recognize him today for his courage.
Yes.
To stand out and make this announcement earlier this month that he has breast cancer himself. And one of the things that he said that really stood out to me in his interview was, he said the first thing he did when he found out was he shared it with his family. And their response was to immediately get tested. Because when you have individuals in your family who have had breast cancer, there's a higher risk. But as men, we often assume that because it's a more prominent in women, that we may have family members with breast cancer, but we don't begin to check. So the other thing he did, he encouraged men to get checked. He said that he saw a little blood spot that continued to recur for a few days. And when he saw that and it was into his t-shirt, he went to the doctor to check it out. And again, how many times as men do we have little nagging things or little things that we ignore?
Right. That's right.
One of the reasons that I understand that breast cancer has such a more devastating effect on men oftentimes is because men wait and have it discovered at a later time. When women often through their awareness and through their examinations and through their practices discover it earlier than men. Men, again, we make assumptions that we don't have it. So his acknowledgement of this begins to put it in our forefront that there is this is something that does face men. And again, like you mentioned, Richard Roundtree saying he was uncomfortable sharing that. And I can imagine because, again, I was listening to an advertisement on the radio the other day, and it was talking to women about being checked. And they had a little jingle to it or whatever. So it's a very comfortable place for women to talk about it. But, as men, we're not talking about it. I mean, we're afraid to talk about prostate cancer and colon cancer and all that stuff. I know even more so we're more afraid to talk about breast cancer.
And women are communicators,
Right. And what I'm saying is their awareness. And so when we talk about breast cancer awareness, we really have to be stronger about sharing with men that this is something to be concerned about. And you mentioned a few of the symptoms that people see, but I'm going to mention some others that we often will relate to something else totally different. So we forget about fatigue. So we always want to say, I'm just getting old, or I'm tired, I need to work out more. I'm losing weight. Oh, I'm getting back into my game shape. Knowing we eating twice as much as we always have and exercising less, but we're losing weight, but we want to sit there and talk about, hey, I'm getting in my good shape. And these are some of the symptoms that we ignore. And then just little sensitivity in that area. That's another thing a man doesn't want to talk about. Sensitivity or discharge of blood or some type of fluid from the nipple or that nipple area are things that make men feel uncomfortable about. And the thing is, it's better to be safe than sorry. And if you don't want to discuss it with anybody, go see your doctor. Because your doctor will, be able to look at it. And that was one of the things that Matthew Knowles said. It was that he went to the doctor immediately because he just knew something wasn't right. So I just wanted to share him today as our African-American person of interest and thank him for his willing to be open and to share that men can get breast cancer also. Okay. And so that's the awareness that we want. Yeah. That this is something that men should also pay attention to and be concerned about.
All right. And that's Matthew Knowles.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned another name in there, and that was Vanessa Bell Calloway, was it?
Armstrong.
Okay, yeah. I thought you said Calloway because she's one who had breast cancer as well. So I thought you said what?
Lady Ella.
No, I know you.
No. That's the TV show she plays in.
Okay.
Saints and Sinners. She's Lady Ella.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Lady Ella.
All right.
Absolutely. Hey, ladies and gentlemen,
Great show. Great show.
which brings us to some of our points of what we want to really kind of discuss, some current topics that are going on in the news. So please feel free to like and share. And again, the call-in number is 301-429-9247, 301-429-WBGR. We're going to talk about some topics that have been going on in the news. One of them being a letter that was received from a Pittsburgh football player, Penn State. Thank you so much, Ms. Producer. A letter that was written to him after he made a stellar tackle on the field, and then this gentleman took it upon himself to send him a letter. And we want to have just a brief conversation about this letter. So I'll just read it just get right into it. The letter says, "Dear Jonathan, my wife and I are proud older graduates of Penn State. We follow all Penn State sports, football, wrestling, volleyball, gymnastics, basketball. We love it all. I played all the sports in my younger days, still played full court basketball into my 50s. Loved the competition, but never had the size or the talent to reach your level, though the desire was there. Though the athletes of today are certainly superior to those in my days, we miss the clean-cut young men and women from those days. Watching the Idaho game on TV, we couldn't help but notice your awful hair. Surely there must be mirrors in the locker room. Don't you have parents or girlfriend who've told you those shoulder-length dreadlocks look disgusting and are certainly not attractive? We congratulate you on your game against Pitt, but you need to remember you represent all Penn Staters, both current and those alumni from years past. We would welcome the reappearance of dress codes for athletes. You will certainly be playing on Sunday in the future, but we have stopped watching the NFL due to the disgusting tattoos, awful hair, and immature antics in the end zone. Players should act as though they've been there before. For the glory." And he signed it, Jonathan
Peters. He signed his name.
Peters. Well, it's not on here.
Yeah.
So he signed the letter, ladies and gentlemen.
David Peterson.
David Peters. Peterson. Is it Peterson?
Peterson.
Okay.
A 1966 graduate of Penn State.
Yeah. What do you think about this correspondence, Dr. Champion?
Well, I have mixed feelings on it. One part of me says that the NCAA wants alumni to have a certain distance and a certain amount of removal from athletes. They don't want them to give them jobs. They don't want them to give them money and so forth. But it's okay for them to send them a letter of reprimand, is what this gentleman thought that it was within his purview to have the ability to do. Now, there's freedom of speech, and he has the right to have his opinion. However, what we have to realize is that it's not 1966 any longer, and society has moved away from certain things that we would have seen in 1966. Yeah. And when I say society, I'm not just talking about the Penn State football program. I'm talking about what we see in the business world, what we see in the entertainment world, what we see on college campuses. And I believe as we look at life and how diverse lifestyles are, we're going to find it represented in every aspect of that. And so until you tell me that everyone, regardless of race, have to have their hair cut to a certain length and don't have tattoos or don't showboat in the end zone to identify this individual because you don't identify with them is totally inappropriate.
Yeah, I thought that the correspondence to me, I thought sometimes everything don't need to be said. He should have just kept it to himself. If he doesn't like it and he's not watching it, keep it to yourself.
It's interesting because my problem with it is that, again, we all have the right to say what we want to say or feel the way we want to feel. But what gave him what he thought was the right to write this individual a letter? See, if I don't work for you, if you're not the person that I report to,
Okay.
then why do you feel that you have the authority to share with me that I'm not living up to your value set?
Okay.
And that's another part of our society that we're starting to see more and more prevalent right now, as that we begin to see people wanting to dismiss modern day diverse culture.
Yes. Yes, and keeping it one way. I'd like to welcome Brother Anthony Smokes, Pastor Valerie Everett, Sister Norma Tyler. She says hello, Pastor Green, and Dr. Champion.
Hello.
Sister Janelle Alexander. Thank you for tuning in. She says Dr. Champion totally missed that elevator joke. LOL. She just said LOL. It was okay.
No, I didn't see that commercial, I guess.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
okay.
I totally.
We'll
Yeah,
explain
yeah,
after.
no, it's okay, but it's well.
I apologize, but I know you were over there
He said-
laughing hard, weren't you?
It is well with my soul. Yeah.
So, and interesting though, and I'm not
Hey,
going to
Sister
stay on
Session,
this.
Tony.
I'm not
Team
gonna-
Tony.
I'm not going to stay on this for a moment, but we had a long conversation about your inability to tell the punchline of a joke. So I'm glad somebody got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do tell jokes, and I know how to tell jokes, okay? So, you just didn't get it at that time.
Okay.
Okay, so you got it after the third time. I shared it with you.
No, that one we still haven't got. And you told it 3 weeks in a row, and we still didn't get it. But let's go back to this serious
Recession.
moment of
Please don't bring me in.
what happened with this young man. I don't want us to
Yes. Yeah.
get away from that, because you were having an opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, when you turn around and you really look at it, and I mean, it all to me just stem. Well, first of all, his coaches and other players, everyone is in full support of him. And I think it's important to really acknowledge the fact that it's a state by state legislation that some are upholding the right to people wearing their hair as they would like to, like African Americans, the dreadlocks, the cornrows, the braids. Some states are against that. Yeah, and they're banning the legislation to speak against it. So they can wear the way they want to wear it. But some states are upholding, like Kentucky. Some
No joke. I'm sorry.
Those states are upholding, to tell students and in the workplace too, that you cannot wear braids, and I find that so offensive.
Now, if I'm the owner of a company, I have the right to establish a dress code. I have the right to establish, and a person has a right to say, I don't want to work for you. However, this gentleman has no role of authority that gives him the right to feel as if he can impose his feelings upon someone. And we all know, we respect the fact that we've all worked in jobs at some point in our life where maybe in uniform services we no facial hair, no hair over a certain length, and certain things of that nature.
I remember being fairly young, and I just moved to Atlanta, and I had a goatee, and they said that I couldn't have hair on my face,
Right.
And the beard, and so I had to cut it. So I had to have the mustache thing going on. So I can understand that because of the the food areas as well. So
Yeah, and I mean, and that's what I said. And I think if I am, if I set the rules, then that's fine. But this gentleman doesn't set the rules.
yeah. I think that I differ with you, Dr. Champion. I think that a person should be able to wear their hair the way that they want. And if you're going in, you have the right to hire or not, hire me. But definitely, I don't think that should be a place where you should make that judgment openly to say that I don't wear my hair this way. It wasn't a problem for Bo Derek. And I think you have these changes and these shifts that, that's just me.
No,
that's just me.
And understand what I'm saying is that as an owner of an organization, you do have a right to establish a dress code. You have a right to set policy. And if your policies are based on something that unilaterally will be applied, people do not, many companies do not want individuals who are salespersons to wear anything but dark suits. They don't want them to have facial hair. They want them to always have on a white shirt. And these are the choices we make sometimes when we choose certain professions or choose to work with certain companies. Absolutely. But I have a choice of saying, I don't want to comply, so I can go find employment other places. Yeah. But in this case, there's two prominent things. Is that one, he's in no violation of anything that Penn State has asked him to do. Yes. He's not in violation of anything. The coach, the team, no one has a problem with. So that's number one. He's not in violation of anything. Number two is that this person feels that they have the right, and I'm going to say they have the privilege, and we can probably read more into that, but he feels that he has the privilege to say, I feel this way, and I'm going to belittle you because you're not living to my standard, which I believe is something that we're starting to see, an attitude across American society that we're beginning to see play out. And this is not a isolated incident.
Absolutely not.
And that's where my largest concern is in this case.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree. You still my main man.
What are we disagreeing on?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. But okay.
Well, I'm just saying. I just feel that it's a dual hat. And whenever it's when I would say certain things are passed or certain things are done, it has its privilege. So again, if you want someone to wear their hair a certain way, I guess what I'm saying is it's Afrocentric. So I don't think that. I think that should be a protected class, but the Supreme Court went against that. But I'm just saying, to me personally, I think should be under the protected class, one of the protected classes. So a person should be able to wear their hair, and a person. I understand you own a company, but you shouldn't be able to tell this person, because that could be their culture. That could be a part. That's who they are. I got it, but I don't think rules and regulations should be able to be put in place. So that's just me. But I understand that where you were going with that. I definitely understand. So let's move right along. Whose response?
He responded to the letter.
Okay. He responded to the letter?
Yeah, that should be the last statement on the page.
Okay, the alumni David Peterson.
No. Well, then look for Jonathan.
Okay. Oh, Jonathan is a team captain? And he posted on... Yes.
Team captain, and
That's
his response. Jonathan Sutherland is the player. So I just want to read this.
Jonathan has written... he's the team captain, that he forgave the writer because I'm nowhere close to being perfect, and I expect God to forgive me for all the wrong I've done in my life. Although the message was indeed rude, ignorant, and judging, I've taken no personal offense to it because personally, I must respect you as a person before I respect your opinion. Oh, wow. And also, it also states that he has received much support on Twitter as well. Not only the Penn State, and the team, but he also is receiving much support on Twitter. The alum coach posted, Sutherland gets a 15-yarder this week for taking his helmet off after a big play. This alum is 1,000,000% okay with it. Wow. Wow. 1966 graduate, as you stated, Dr. Champion, Penn State. And he admitted that he was the writer of the letter. Wow. Okay. All right. Moving right along, ladies and gentlemen. Producer, is it okay? Thank you. Okay. I don't know if you guys been hearing in the news. It's been the lead on every news station about the shooting of the police officer, the young lady in her home. Atiana Jefferson, the black woman gunned down by officers early Saturday while playing video games with her nephew. She was a pre-med graduate of Xavier University. And the shooting occurred after a concerned neighbor called the department's non-emergency line after noticing something strange. Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock p.m. and I haven't seen anybody moving around, James Smith tells the dispatcher in audio of the call released by police. It's not normal for them to have both the doors open this time of night. The officer, Aaron Dean, abruptly resigned from the force and has been charged for murder. He was also booked to Tarrant County Jail with $200,000 bond. The police chief, Ed Krause, had he not resigned, he states, on his own, he would have been fired for violations of the department's policies on use of force, de-escalation, and unprofessional conduct in connection with the shooting. And the neighbor says, I'm shaken. I feel it's partly my fault. Neighbor distraught after his welfare check call ends with police shooting black woman through a bedroom window. And this, some of the reports or the articles, you can actually see, the dean just shooting through the window after just coming and saying, raise your hands and just firing off into the window. With the flashlight. How did that make you feel?
Well, I think one of the things, and I haven't seen the video, but I've heard accounts of the story, was that he never identified himself as a police officer. Mm-hmm. Was one of the main things that are surprising. Mm-hmm. But also, and we say this, that as we don't know how it is as until you are in that role of, going up and maybe approaching someone and something making you feel uncomfortable and you having to make a judgment call. However, if you're uncomfortable in those situations, it's time to wait for somebody else to come and join you. You don't have to be such the aggressor as you make a tragic mistake as we did. We would rather see you call for backup, assess the situation that there's no immediate danger, and then proceed with something where maybe someone else has an opportunity to make you feel more comfortable or assist you in making valid judgment calls.
Or if you're afraid, as you said, and uncomfortable, afraid, then you should wait for backup or someone who can assist you. I definitely agree. I'm trying to see that, did they not knock on the door that was open? Because it's like, you just immediately just go around and you go and you look through the window and you just shoot through the window. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and obviously, again, not seeing the video and the police chief saying that this officer did not follow procedure, that the officer used excessive force, made no attempt to de-escalate the situation. And I think in cases like this, then, the making an arrest should be right. And it's unfortunate because regardless of what is shown after an investigation, after a trial and all those things, this individual, there's no correcting the harm that was done.
They lost a daughter, a mother, aunt, a family member. It's pretty amazing that even in the narrative of some of the media outlets, they have begun to say that the woman had a gun. And I'm like, wow, she had a gun, but she's in her home. And they said, you know, it's like they're painting this narrative to justify the actions of the officer. And although he was fired, but yet still things are still kind of playing out, as always, with Tamir Rice in Ohio, Trayvon Martin in Florida. You have Oscar Grant in California, Philando Castro, a concealed weapon driving. But Oscar Grant on the subway platform. Tamir Rice was at a recreation center. So I see a narrative playing out here. And I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist unapologetically. Because right now you see this narrative of going from outside walking to Eric Gardner, outside a store standing. And now you see from the car, Philando Castro, they shoot him, and he had a permit to carry a concealed weapon. And now you see with Botham Jean in his home, and the police officer said that she thought it was her home, and so she kills the man. And so now you see this gentleman just shooting another cop in Dallas. I don't know what's going on in Dallas. They got a lot of stuff going on down there, but this particular incident, he shoots into the bedroom of this woman, into the home of this woman through the window. So I see a narrative shaping that, they don't respect the life. And I think that's not a good look for people of black and brown color. It doesn't. It does not look good. It does not look good.
Well, the one thing that we have to think about, in all honesty and all truthfulness, is, as the chief said, there was a lack of following policy and procedure. There's a reason policy and procedures are put in place. And that is so that when incidents like this happen, you can say it's justified. But anytime policy and procedure has not been followed, it's hard to then say that a shooting was justified. You justify it by following the policy, the procedure that says that this is the right thing to do. Okay. There's nothing that this officer has done that we've seen at this point that tells us that they did the right thing. The question now becomes is when law enforcement officials believe that they supersede the law and they are the jury, judge, and whatever, and begin to make decisions feeling like, because I have this badge, I am justified. And what we have to do as a society is show that we have a lack of tolerance, a no tolerance, not say low, a no tolerance for officers who will not follow policy.
Meanwhile, Tamir Rice don't go home. Oscar Grant don't go home. Many young black males that have been killed don't go home. Sandra Bland don't go home. So it's like lack of following protocol got you. There was a report that the FBI did that their findings of the report was that many of the white supremacist skinhead Nazi organization KKK has been infiltrating the police departments across America. How do we have a low tolerance for what this is set out to do?
I didn't say low tolerance.
No, I'm just a no tolerance.
A no tolerance. And the no tolerance is when these actions happen, they have to be dealt with in a way. Just like, we have laws in place that when individuals maybe break a law on multiple times. Okay. And things escalate. But also, when you don't follow procedure, there should be a penalty on that that's different than bad judgment.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
when I just use bad, and God knows we all are placed in a situation we make a quick decision, and sometimes we wish we had done it a little different. However, if we follow the rules and we still come to that conclusion, we can say, I did everything that I was supposed to do. But when you get to a point where you know you haven't done what you're supposed to do and get that result, then you're not justified. And when you're not justified, when you show wrongdoing or irresponsibility, the punishment should be greater in a way that discourages someone from doing it the next time.
Okay. Well, even with him realizing that he was going to be fired, he resigned so that won't go on a work record. I think that pensions should be taken. I think those things should be dealt with swiftly, equally as well.
And when it's all said and done, his resignation doesn't mean anything when you talk about resigning versus getting fired, because there's a question that employment asks. This is assuming that he doesn't spend years in prison for a murder charge. But the thing is this: have you ever resigned from a job in which you were scheduled to be fired? And so when you might say no, but when they call somebody and say, well, tell me about this, he says he resigned. He says, well, yeah, he resigned, but broke a rule and was going to be fired.
Well, by law, they can't say that.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
Yeah. No, that you can. But the point that I'm making is that we have to penalize individuals who do things like this as if they're criminals.
Yeah.
And if we penalize them as if they're criminals, people will begin to ensure that they cover their behind by making right decisions, by not taking the law into their own hand. But as long as we continue to have passive punishment against individuals who violate individual civil rights, then we'll continue to have these type of activities happen.
I concur. I just think that all this that goes on. I know that this was an isolated incident, and Botham Jean was an isolated incident, but it seemed to spread across our country. And I think that all of these things need to be dealt with, to me, swiftly. I think they don't need to linger. Looking into investigating, absolutely. And I think there should be greater reform. Just expeditiously, greater police reform. Because right now I think it's laxed, and I think it's passive, and we see time and time again that people are getting away with murder, pun intended. And it's not right. And I think that we should begin to really hold our leadership or people who feel as though they are speaking for us to account to the fire, holding their feet to the fire, and allow them to go and we set the agenda on what they are to speak when they go in these rooms and they make decisions and vote. And so therefore, again, police reform expeditiously need to be shifted expeditiously. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, but we could go on with this, and I'm gonna post some things later on. The reference that I made for far as the FBI doing the study and the numbers. But one of the things I wanted to share with you, Kanye was at HU.
Yeah, that's right.
What was your take on that?
I didn't follow it, but I do know he was on campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No comment?
No.
Are you going to leave that alone?
I mean, like I said, I did follow. I heard he was on campus, but I don't know what the,
I thought it was very strange that here is a young man that is coming on the campus and performing, but yet and still, he's a Trump supporter. And it just really just put me in a place where I didn't get the understanding behind the decision to bring him on. So yeah, that was my thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Champion, closing moments.
All right. It's been real.
Thank you for your time. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight. This was a very, to me, it's hard because it is really dealing with the loss of lives. And whenever we really come in from a place of loss of lives, and it's hard because the daughter's not coming back home, and it's hard. But we thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us and hanging out with us tonight. So thank you so much for joining us again. Remember, when good men stand together, they become greater. I am my brother's keeper, and see you on the other side of greatness. God bless you.
My brother's keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mental model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brother's keep a show, I gotta